Have you ever felt lost? Have you ever felt more aware? Have you ever just asked so many different questions to the point where you just don't know where to start your research? Do you feel like you went to sleep and then the next day you were a completely different human? You might be undergoing a spiritual awakening. Hi friends, and welcome to an episode of Spirit Dispatch. This is the first episode on this YouTube channel for Spirit Dispatch, so I would really appreciate if you would give me a thumbs up and automatically subscribe. There will be loads and loads of information being sent to this specific channel for anything having to do with spiritual awakening, as well as anything having to do with shifts in the universe or anything having to do with our ascension. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, definitely hit subscribe and make sure you hit the little bell that you know when I put out a new video. But today we are going to go over the basic of the basic. What is a spiritual awakening? A spiritual awakening is really a profound shift within your consciousness. And this usually happens when you become more aware, or you have a deeper understanding or a deeper connection with the universe. So could you want to be outside in nature more? Or when you look up at the sky, you actually see an energy grid, or the birds seem louder. These little hints are you connecting more with the universe. And this is really a lifelong process, a spiritual awakening. You can have multiple spiritual awakenings during your lifetime, but your first one is really the one that really catapults you from point A to point B. And if you know of the signs for a spiritual awakening, it is easier for you to understand and not be afraid of it. Because I feel like our society right now, it's very much touch and go with the spiritual side of our life. But remember, we are not a human having a spiritual experience. We are a spirit having a human experience. So once you really understand that part, it kind of all falls into place the more and more that you awaken. And as you start living life very consciously, and you are very conscious of the spiritual aspects of life itself, this is going to lead you not towards only spiritual growth, but personal growth as well, because you are going to go from a area where you're not 100% at who you are, what you want to do, what your purpose is, and then all of a sudden you go through these spiritual awakenings and you feel more aligned, you start living your true purpose, and you grow towards person, that being, and you meet that frequency of living your true authentic self. So the key concepts of a spiritual awakening, there are many, but I feel like these are the top three. We have a higher consciousness, as I stated, a higher awareness, and complete transformation. So by higher consciousness, you have a deeper understanding of not only yourself, but the universe. For awareness, you really start having a heightened sense of the present moment. And with this awareness and being in the present, you will actually feel energy a lot easier, and you will start picking up on, and you'll become super sensitive to spiritual energies and beings and entities. And as for transformation, it's really the interchange and the growth that happen during this process. And this could be very little or can be super drastic. Either way, it's going to be change and growth. And that is what we're meant to do within this lifetime. That is what Earth is all about. Earth is spirit's school. We learn and adapt and change. So the origins of a spiritual awakening really has to do with many different religious and spiritual traditions. So that could be Buddhism or Hinduism, but also the whole push of this new age spiritual realm is really putting such an emphasis on teaching what a spiritual awakening is and how important it is when you're going through these different milestones throughout your life. And each of these milestones is really an enlightenment, and it's like a stepping stone for where you need to be. So a lot of people, especially right now, they say, oh, it's like a quarter life crisis or it's a midlife crisis. No, you're going through a spiritual awakening. You're kind of over your old self and you are birthing this new person that is needed to be established. There are so many things that push us through life. And once you get to that breaking point, it's kind of like an automatic switch where you're like, my old self is gone, is done with. And I'm moving on and changing every single part of me. in order to move forward. And those are the steps that you're taking in order for this enlightenment, in order to ascend, in order to come your full spirit being, your true authentic self. So because a spiritual awakening can cause such havoc on our physical body, there are a few things that you can practice in order to really help you through this process. A few are super easy, like meditation and breathing techniques. That's really going to help your physical body kind of acclimate to the new frequency that you are putting yourself towards. So meditation, 5 to 10 minutes a day, is really going to help. Overall, I feel like body scans are really the best way to start, because I know that people are like, oh, meditation, I can't do that. And I get it. I completely understand. However, meditation is so vital to allow the brain to just relax and take in all of this new information, all of these new downloads that you are receiving from source, from your guides, and getting rid of all of that manic in your brain is really going to help you process and become more conscious of your new goal and your new purpose in life. So meditation is definitely 100%. And through this meditation, you can really start these breathing techniques where you just focus on your breath and taking deep breaths. Also, I know a lot of people hate running, but running actually helps you learn how to breathe deep. So if you can't meditate, try running, because a lot of people go into this trance when running, where it will allow you to get that oxygen flow and to really get into the same mental state that you could get when you meditate. So I would definitely bring that up or start doing that. Energy healing is another practice that a lot of people do during their spiritual awakening. So this could be Reiki, this could be crystal healing, this could be somatic stretching. And all of this kind allows your energy fields, your chakras, to realign and get rid of those blockages. So every single chakra has a certain frequency that it needs in order to allow all of the energy to flow. So healing your energy and healing your workhouses of your energy field is really going to help allow everything to flow a little bit easier, allowing your body to mold into this new spiritual being. I hope that makes sense. That was a lot. But energy healing, definitely worth to look at. But also spiritual counseling. Spiritual counseling is really becoming the new therapy for a lot of people. And working with spiritual counselors, spiritual coaches like me. So if you're interested, definitely book a one-on-one. It is available, the link in my bio. But working with counselors and working with your spirit guides and working with your counselors is really going to help you connect further to your spirit guides, allowing you to sink into and learn the experiences of a spiritual awakening. We are here to help you understand the side effects of a spiritual awakening, because there's so many symptoms of a spiritual awakening that people just don't know about. And that's why I even created this other channel, because I do have another channel called The Galactic Soul. And I really wanted to focus on these tips and tricks, these knowledge-based articles and topics and subjects of spiritual awakening and the universe, because there's so many things that go into one another and it just can't be done in one video. So make sure you subscribe again, and this will definitely help you understand the dynamics of this. Other things that can help you through your spiritual awakening are meditation retreats. So if you feel like you need to just get away for a little bit and reevaluate your goals, like meditation retreat, 150%, I definitely recommend. If you are someone that hosts a meditation retreat or anything like that, definitely put it in the comments below, or you've done one before, put it in the comments below to help others through those processes and picking one that works best for them. I would really appreciate it. Also, sharing your personal story is really going to help others as well. So as you go through your spiritual awakening, it is very much push people to tell others about their awakening and what they had to go through in order to boost everyone else to go on their own spiritual awakening and to ascend, as all of us are in the collective. But as you open yourself to all of this information, it's going to get easier and easier and easier for the collective. So now I want to go into the benefits of a spiritual awakening and the risks of going into a spiritual awakening. That way you can decipher and also put your guard up too, because you are super vulnerable when you are in a spiritual awakening. So I want to make this clear. So for the benefits, obviously, inner peace is 150% the biggest thing, because as you awaken and as you go through these stages, you start to feel just this sense of calm and serenity to life. And everything leading up to it, you probably have panic attacks, you have anxiety attacks, because the new frequencies that are coming in as you start this new stage, this new stepping stone, it gives you a bunch of energy and you just don't know how to deal with it. And it could be scary because you're like, I've never had panic attacks before. I don't know why I'm having them. Am I stressed out? You try to ask science what is going on. And if you can't find an answer, guess what? You're going through a spiritual awakening. And once you get there and you understand, it all makes sense. And then it all just falls into place and you go through the stages of a spiritual awakening. So inner peace, definitely. You're going to see a huge growth aspect. And again, there is no timeline for spiritual awakenings. So this could be a few months, this could be a few weeks, this could be a year for one spiritual awakening. But once you allow it in, just allow and trust in the universe to have it happen, you will see such huge growth in you personally and your spiritual life. And this is really going to allow you to understand yourself a lot more. And it's going to cause such inner peace, going back to inner peace, that you're just not going to care about a lot of the things that your ego cared about prior. So if you just get to a point where you're just like, I just don't care anymore, not to the point where your life is spiraling and stuff like that, but there's just little things that you just don't care about anymore. For example, I just don't care about watching the news anymore. I just don't. And I never really did. So just as a little tidbit, just little things where you're just like, I just don't care about that. And I'm getting rid of it. So huge growth, inner peace. You want to get everything that is toxic out of your life. And that alone is beautiful. So it's hard, it's very difficult. And not everything about a spiritual awakening is love and light and everything is great and flowers. And that's not how it is. It is really hard transition, which is why I want to make these videos for you guys. But also the last benefit here is really having a deeper connection with all things. You are really going to open your eyes more. You're going to open your ears more. You're going to open up your third eye more, and you're going to feel more connected with those around you and also more connected with nature. Nature is going to be huge here. Some of the risks that you are going to have during a spiritual awakening, as I said a little bit ago, there's going to be emotional trauma coming up. Again, it's not going to be easy. But once you sift through this emotional turmoil, there's going to be a lot less confusion, a lot less anxiety, and a lot less depression and dis-ease, as in disease. There's going to be a lot less. So the more that you allow and let go, forgive, not forget, but forgive and just adjust to the new frequency, it's going to be easier and easier to get rid of things. Also, during a spiritual awakening, you might want to isolate yourself, which for some people this works, okay? However, for others, there's going to be times where you're going to isolate yourself and you aren't going to get that support. So if you're going to isolate yourself, definitely go on some kind of spiritual retreat in order to have that same spiritual support. Or if you're going to isolate yourself, at least have that one person. So whether it's a spiritual coach, spiritual counselor, a spiritual online course to keep you in line, to have at least some kind of connection, right? And then also, you might deal with some spiritual bypass. And this is when people use spiritual concepts to deal with their emotional baggage and their trauma, and they don't really work through it. So make sure you actually work through your trauma and allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to go through a grieving process, because if you just go into a spiritual practice and you don't do the shadow work, you're going to be stuck in that spiritual awakening and you're not going to go to the next step. So keep that in mind. Make sure you work through that trauma. And I don't mean to get over it, but I do mean to process it. And it sucks. It's hard. But when you do process it and allow it to flow and allow your emotions to run wild, it is really going to make your ascension process a lot better, a lot easier. So any exercises that you can do. So we talked about meditation, we talked about running, journaling is a really big one. A lot of people journal and write their emotions on paper and process that way. So I definitely say that. Also, reflecting as you are going through this spiritual awakening or a spiritual awakening is really, really big, because reflecting on what you've been through and being grateful for it is a whole nother level. And once you are grateful and you see things as happening for you, not to you. So things happen for you and not to you. So once you start reflecting and showing gratitude, even for the difficult situations that you had in your life, that is really going to help you move to the next step or move to the next spiritual awakening that spirit and source has in store for you. So if you want, I have this amazing book. I'm not getting credited for saying this at all or anything, but it's a super awesome resource. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it really talks about the steps of a spiritual awakening and self-discovery. Amazing book. Can't recommend it enough. But there are a lot of websites and are a lot of podcasts out there that talk about this growth. So like The Mindful Kind, also another YouTube sensation, Christina Lopes, she helped me so much during my first spiritual awakening a couple years ago. So definitely check her out as well. But other than that, I'm going to wrap this up because there is going to be a lot more videos on the stages of a spiritual awakening. So definitely make sure you subscribe to make sure that you do not miss a beat. And if you have questions, definitely put them in the comments below. I am here to help you with however I can, truly. So I am so excited that you are joining me for this journey. And remember to always be yourself. Sending you so much love and light.